Hello and welcome to Talk SCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and today we are going to be discussing the summer transfer window with regard to Barcelona and in particular Clement Lenglet, the Sevilla centre-back. We're going to be taking a detailed look at exactly who he is, what he can bring to Barcelona, and most importantly, are we going to sign him this summer, how close is the deal, and what is the latest on that situation. We're going to be looking at all that and more. Sit back, relax and enjoy. So first of all, guys, let's take a look at the reports which have been linking us with a Sevilla centre-back, and it's very, very strong links with Umtiti. They had a big cover this morning with Lenglet on it, and apparently, according to MD, we have reportedly agreed a 5-year contract with Lenglet, who apparently his agent and Robert Fernandez sat down in Barcelona, they thrashed out a deal, it has been agreed, he's given Barcelona the yes, we are then going to sign him, and now 35 million euros. According to MD, that is his release clause. There's a few other reports which claim the release clause is only 30 million. Umtiti this morning, they say it's 35 million, and apparently, as long as we're open to paying that much money for him, it seems now like quite a straightforward deal. Obviously, though, this is the Spanish media. A lot of times we've seen it in the past where they've said everything is sealed, everything is done, and then a few weeks and months down the line, it turns out that's not the full story. We're going to have to wait and see whether this is true with regard to Lenglet, but MD this morning very, very confident that a deal is looking likely. And of course, before we move on to Lenglet, I want to address the situation with regard to Umtiti, because obviously looking at this deal, a lot of people now be a bit nervous, thinking there is a bit of concern right now over Umtiti's future. He is yet to sign a new contract. There have been a few links linking him with a move away from the club. Will Lenglet affect that? Is he an Umtiti replacement, or is he simply being brought in to strengthen our defence? And I personally would go with the latter there. I think that Lenglet is going to be brought in to strengthen our squad, to give us a lot more depth in that centre-back area. I think in the end Umtiti is going to stay, he's going to sign a new deal, and of course there are doubts as well over the future of both Thomas Vermaelen and Yerry Mina, so it makes perfect sense really to bring in another centre-back. But moving on now to who exactly is Clement Lenglet. Well, he's a 22-year-old French centre-back currently playing his football in La Liga at Sevilla, where he has been now since 2017. He signed for Sevilla in January 2017 from Nancy in France for just 5 million euros. And naturally, with Sevilla, he's the last actually of the Monchi signings at Sevilla. They're going to make massive, massive profit on him after having him for just over one season. Bought for 5 million, most likely being sold for 35 million here in 2018. And despite yet being able to feature in the French senior team, he doesn't have a cap for the French national team. He has, though, appeared in every single underage group at international level, which does include 10 appearances for the French under-21 side. In terms of this season, though, he has appeared 34 times in La Liga, only missing 3 games in the league for them so far this season, and that's along with 9 appearances in Sevilla's run to the Champions League quarterfinals, as which he only missed one of those Champions League games, and Lenglet himself did play a very big part in Sevilla's success this season in the Champions League, winning, of course, at Old Trafford to knock out Manchester United. Lenglet also played in all but one of Sevilla's Copa del Rey matches this season. In their very good run to the final, he appeared 8 times in the Copa del Rey. Unfortunately, though, for him, he was involved in the 5-0 drubbing, of course, in the final from the hands of ourselves. A night really to forget for him and all the Sevilla players. Obviously, Lenglet is a centre-back for this season. He has chipped in with 4 goals right across all competitions. He scored in the league against the likes of Espanyol, Villarreal, Real Betis, and in the Champions League he did notch a very, very important goal in the group stage against Spartak Moscow. So exactly what can we draw really from Lenglet's season in La Liga with Sevilla this season, and his overall campaign really across the Champions League and the Copa del Rey? Well, one thing we can certainly draw from that is he's been a constant really in this Sevilla side. He's made 53 appearances across all competitions this season, and clearly he's shown that he can cope with the very hefty demands at Barcelona. There's a lot of competitions that you've got to play in, there's a lot of big week games, week in, week out, you're playing twice, sometimes even 3 times a week. Lenglet this season has played a lot of games, he's remained injury free, and I have to say, that's a very big positive. In terms of a defensive viewpoint though, obviously he is a centre-back, the primary objective really of a centre-back, stopping those goals going in, and it's very difficult really to pinpoint how great Lenglet's season and his contribution really have been this season. And I say that because defensively in La Liga this this season, Sevilla have been an absolute disaster. They've been inconsistent, they've been very poor at the back, and I certainly wouldn't say, Lenglet was at fault for that. The fault does not lie at his door. They've had a few dodgy coaches, they've had a lot of time this season where right around the team it hasn't been good enough, but I think actually in with that, you've got to say, of all the Sevilla players, particularly in the defensive zones, Lenglet is the one who would emerge with some credit, even despite the very poor season they've had. This Sevilla defence have conceded 58 goals in the league this season, which is the joint worst record of any team outside of the relegation places. However, like I say, being a centre-back, the primary objective is stopping goals. The really important thing, though, with the Barcelona centre-back is also to do with style of play. A vital part of coming to Barcelona is learning the philosophy, being the right mould in that centre-back position, being able to play out of the back, and no matter how talented you are, if you want to be a success at Barcelona, you have got to play that way. You've got to be that kind of player. So really, is Lenglet a defender who can suit our style of play? And I would actually say, yes, he is. Based on what we've seen this season in La Liga, he is a defender who first and foremost can defend. He is capable of doing that, but he is also comfortable with the ball at his feet, which right now is absolutely vital for any Barcelona defender. What I've seen him in so far, he can bring the ball out of defence, he can pass between the lines into midfield, and he does actually seem like a player who'll be happy to be brave in possession, take some risks, bring the ball out, be strong-minded as well. And as a Barcelona defender, you need to be able to cope with that kind of pressure, be under pressure, and still stick to your principles, stick to your philosophy, and remain calm when playing out of the back. And if you look at the stats actually this season with regard to Lenglet, his style of play, being a ball-playing centre-back, it does seem to suggest that's the way he's inclined. This season, for example, his average pass accuracy is 84.9% across all competitions, which if you compare that to the likes of Piqué, Umtiti and Thomas Vermaelen, it is slightly below those players. But when you're talking about Piqué and Umtiti and even Vermaelen, those are some of the best ball-playing centre-backs in the world with the ball at their feet, very, very comfortable playing it out, and that's to be expected really. At Barcelona, it's a lot easier to play that style of play than it is at Sevilla. So naturally, Lenglet's averages will be a bit lower than our already centre-backs, but still, decent percentage there, 84.9. Piqué is average 89.6, Umtiti an outstanding 91.1, and also Thomas Vermaelen 93.1. But obviously bear in mind that Vermaelen has appeared in less games, so obviously that does boost the average somewhat. And it's exactly the same when you look at average passes per game, which is important. How often has Lenglet been on the ball? How often has he received it and moved it on successfully? Lenglet again falls just below our centre-backs in Piqué and Umtiti, but Barca do play a more ball-playing style than Sevilla do. Lenglet has averaged 48 passes per game in La Liga, Piqué very high with 62, Umtiti even higher than that with 65. But if you look at Vermaelen, he is 46 and just under what Lenglet has done this season. So with all that bearing in mind, the fee, the reports, how Lenglet is, how he's been this season, how he's played for Sevilla, and exactly what his style of play can bring to Barcelona, what sort of final conclusion would we give to our potential new centre-back? Well, if Lenglet is being brought in to strengthen the squad, I think very much so he does fit the bill. I think he would be a good acquisition. I think he's had a good season in La Liga. He's played a lot of games in a team that has had a difficult season, but he's still emerged with credit. He's still been somebody who's very, very highly rated. And of course, you can't forget, he's still only 22 years old, meaning that he does have a lot of time to develop, to grow, to really adopt the Barcelona style of play. And I think that in time, his game can certainly suit what we're looking for from our centre-backs. I don't think he's somebody who's going to come in and tear up trees straight away. I don't think he's going to be starting ahead of Piqué, ahead of Umtiti. But obviously, when Umtiti was signed, you got to think back to that as well. When Umtiti came in from Lyon, nobody was really expecting him to be as good as he was. Nobody was expecting him to break into the team. And perhaps here, we could have two young French centre-backs that could be our Barcelona future, looking ahead as our centre-back pairing. I think Lenglet, a good acquisition, a decent fee, a good age, and let me know your thoughts down below, guys, what you think of Clement Lenglet. Would he be a good signing? Should we be pushing ahead and trying to bring him in? Is he going to be an Umtiti replacement, or is he simply going to be signed to strengthen our squad? Let me know all your thoughts and your comments down below. I will see you, of course, with more videos regarding Barcelona, regarding the World Cup, and everything going on right now with regard to transfers. I will see you soon, but until then, as always, Vasca el Barça!